I was on the footbridge with Michael and two or three others, and the moon, which had been white, turned blood red, and there was this gigantic column of smoke up there at the wilderness, and the fire just came at us, from over the ridge, and we thought, well, it's time to say goodbye. The Breitenbush community, the co-op, what we started back in 1977, is based on human consciousness and conscious evolution, and choosing that and using nature in all of the ways that we can. And this is the basis of all of our programming. And here we are in the forest, and now it's the moment of truth. It's a moment of truth for us. Massive change, natural cycles. 43 years ago, when I first got here, I was in my 20s. It was really a ghost town. It had been abandoned for many years, and nothing worked. There was no electricity, there was no plumbing, and we began working. There was only about a dozen of us, and we built it up to 37,000 people in a year, and a multi-million-dollar business, and this worker-owned co-op that was extremely successful, and the fire came. And it's like Sisyphus. That rock went all the way back down, and here we are, a dozen people. I'm in my 70s now. I'm not in my late 20s. We're off the grid, so we have to make our own electricity. We have to make our own heat from the hot springs. And nothing works. We have to create it again. We're going to be building new buildings. And we're living with the natural cycles of things and loving it. We're going to love our way back into relationship with this environment. And this is now a fire-burned environment.
The forests of Western Oregon were built to burn. They've burned before at much larger scale than we just experienced. The 12th largest fire in Oregon history is the Beachy Creek Fire. So we've had much bigger fires and more of it on the landscape historically.
So some areas naturally just don't burn either because of topography or moisture in the area. And often those are places that are seed sources to help the adjacent burned area recover.
We have a chance to heal our relationship with natural places by recognizing the benefits that fire has on the landscape. We know that humans interacted with the landscape and met their needs. They healed through the use of fire, and that was the way that they encountered a lot of their natural world.
This is awesome. This is awesome. Look at these little flowers down here too. They're so pretty. You can see right here, there's a little bit of charcoal. It's just resting right there. That's basically biochar. People make this and sell it, but burned landscapes produce it naturally. And so this yarrow right here is benefiting from that extra nutrients, and it's obviously doing really well.
Today, we have that opportunity to learn from people who had those relationships with fire and nature. There's a deficit of fire on the landscape. And we know it needs to happen in order for forests to be healthy. They don't do well after a certain amount of time without receiving fire, and it does so many different things. It regenerates, and it heals, and it gives life to the forest. But there's a time frame during which things are changed, and oftentimes people look at that and they don't see that regeneration. The communities that are affected by these fires have an opportunity to connect with those landscapes within which they're embedded as a part of their own rebuilding and regeneration process.
The way I think about it, after a fire in the natural environment, there's a succession of plants, one following the other as it builds towards an old growth in ancient forest. It can start with nitrogen fixers like ceanothus and alders and so on, and from there, eventually, you'll end up with your Douglas fir and your cedars in your climax forest. Well, and in that same way, here we are in this wildland-urban interface. We have our own succession planning in terms of repurposing this burnt landscape. We'll start with tenting, and we're going to be building our cabins. It's going to take us a couple of years to build more permanent buildings. This is our beginning. Right here in this fire-burned area, we're going to have our tents. It's not going to be the same set of services that we had before, but it's going to be beautiful. So this is the beginning. This is tenting at Breitenbush Hot Spring. What I'd say to the public, is come and watch this thing regenerate. The species proliferation that is going to take place in the fire-affected woods is going to be amazing. So we're all going to get to watch it and experience it. And I'm looking forward to it.